71% of runners make the same mistakes. In the last 5 years, we've worked with 14,765 runners from around the world who have logged over 4.1 million training sessions on our Coach Parry app. So trust me when I say we've seen it all. In this video, we're going to share the 7 blunders that 71% of runners make all the time. Believe it or not, we'll even settle the debate on whether or not you should be putting pineapple on a pizza. Let's dive in.
This reminds me of New Year's 2023. I thought it was a great idea after having a perfect build-up and laying my foundation to train for Boston in 2023 to go out and run a park run. It was really slippery and wet underfoot, and as I was coming down one of the paths, I slipped and hurt my hamstring. And because I was doing so well and it didn't feel too bad, I kind of just carried on and thought, hey, this is my chance to win a park run. And unfortunately, when I got up the next day, I realized I had done myself an injury. Instead of just taking the hit right there and sorting it out as I tell everybody else to do, I thought I could get away with just gently helping myself through it. Long story short is that I was out for quite a bit of time, which really had me panicking because I'd spent so much money on this dream of taking my father and I to run the Boston Marathon in 2023. And so I got stuck into panic training once I was allowed to train. And I was swimming, and I was cycling, and I was running. And that did allow me to get quite fit quite quickly, but it also made me tired. And so what I can tell you is the number one mistake that beginner runners make, that some experienced runners sometimes make too, is that we build up too quickly. And that builds up an excessive amount of fatigue, which stunts our ability to improve, but it also means that we open ourselves to the risk of injury, but we definitely are going to underperform. And Boston 2023 was my personal worst marathon that I've ever run, and I was sore literally from the start. What I didn't know is that I had also developed chronic low iron during this period of just push, not looking after my recovery, not building up appropriately, which is the complete opposite experience to what I had in my next marathon, where I also suffered from some early setbacks, but instead of throwing myself into it, I learned from my mistake. I built up slowly. I did the training that I could manage in that period of time. I had very low expectations for my marathon, and where I thought the best I could do was a 3:20, I ended up running a 3:10 with ease, feeling strong the whole way. So don't push too hard too soon. Build up slowly and build up at the rate that the time available to you allows.
This knife reminds me of my ex-boyfriend. When we broke up a few years ago, we had to divvy up all of our things. And because I don't cook much, got most of the kitchenware or kitchen equipment. And I got this knife. Now this knife is meant for bread, but I used it for everything. I used it to cut vegetables. I used it to cut my steak. I used it to butter my bread. And so it really is not the appropriate piece of equipment to use for everything. And so the same thing goes for your running. You have to ensure that you are running in the correct shoes for your events. If you're running specifically on road or trail, that's the first thing that you can look for. And then secondly, you want to just make sure that your shoes are maintained and you're not running in very, very old shoes. So much like the mistake of using the wrong knife for all your kitchen needs, you do not want to be using the wrong shoe for your running. Finding the right pair of shoes might take a little bit of experimenting. There are so many different types out there, and I'm not just talking about the different brands, just specifically the different types of shoes. And so you might have to experiment a little bit with finding the right shoe for you. So find an expert in the field, someone who will be able to advise and guide you on the exact correct pair of running shoes for you.
My son came home from school one day and he wanted me to help him with his maths homework. See, what they had told him at school was that they need to get through their times tables as quickly as possible, and that they were writing a test at the end of the week where they were going to get timed. Now, unfortunately, whether it was the emphasis of the teacher or what Oliver heard, in his mind it was much more important to finish the test quickly than to finish it accurately. So as we were practicing, he was making some silly mistakes, and he went to school and got 48 out of 50, but was the quickest in the class. So he came home all chuffed that he had gotten the first guy in the class, and somehow between myself and the teacher we convinced him that actually when it comes to maths or any test, the accuracy is the most important, the mark you get. Being able to do it quickly allows you to finish within the time that you are supposed to finish. And so when Oliver went back to school the following week, he got 50 out of 50 for his maths test and finished second fastest in the class, but he got 100% and the other kid didn't. And so he learned that lesson. Running is exactly the same. We always want to run faster. We're always putting the focus on the speed. And the reality is that what we want to do is we want to run at the appropriate intensity for where we are, so that it allows us to run at the fastest speed that we're capable of on race day. But if we run too fast in the week, every session, pushing ourselves all the time, we will get to race day tired and unable to pass the test, because we're not going to be able to run the race in the fastest possible time because we've got the details wrong, and we're going to score lower marks there, and that's going to compromise your ability to run fast on race day.
Another common mistake that a lot of people don't actually think of is running on the correct side of the road. Very often people will run on one side of the road, both out and back. And what is happening there is that the camber of the road is going to affect your running gaits. And so you want to make sure that you are running on both sides of the road so that you don't only affect your running gaits on one side. This will help you prevent some injuries and ensure that you are staying nice and stable during your runs. Another reason for this is that we want to make sure that we are running facing oncoming traffic. This is for your own safety.
So the next mistake we see, and this one's a little bit self-indulgent, tongue-in-cheek if you'd like, and it's not watching the Coach Parry YouTube channel. We have got hundreds of videos right here on this channel that if you took some time and went through the entire library and applied what you learned from all these videos, it would make you a much better runner. So make sure you watch every single video that we put out, because in every video there's something to learn.
Joints are effectively two bones that are separated by a narrow space. The bones are covered with cartilage and have fluid in between those cartilaginous surfaces so that they can move smoothly over each other. Now, just like a car engine, once that fluid warms up, that cartilage moves over the surface much better. And so it is really important that we warm up and cool down after exercise, because that is going to allow you to move better during today's session. So as we warm up, we warm that fluid up, we get the joints going, you're going to be able to move more comfortably, and then by cooling down afterwards, we lay the groundwork for you to be much more mobile over the long term. So make sure that before every session, you do some limbering up, some warming up, some mobility exercises, so that you can have the best workout and most comfortable run possible.
I hate paying for car insurance. It feels like this extra added expense with no benefits. But just imagine if I crashed my car into a Porsche. I would be very, very grateful for that car insurance. And so strength training is exactly the same. It's something that you have to do that you might not always enjoy, but the benefit far outweighs that dislike of doing the kind of training. And this is one of the big mistakes that we see runners make, is that they don't take out their insurance on their running. They don't do their strength training. And this is the biggest key to keeping you injury-free and is going to improve your performance for your running. If you want to stay injury-free and run faster, click on the screen now to download our free strength training program.
The next one, I believe, is the most common mistake that runners tend to make. Think about a pizza. If you go to Italy, you will eat a pizza that's got really minimal toppings on it, but their pizzas are delicious. When you go to someone's house and have like competitions around who makes the best pizza, often you'll see people that just throw toppings on, and they have lots of toppings, and when you eat it, things don't quite fit together. The pizza is often soggy. And as we move out of Italy, that seems to be a theme. And that's a little bit like the UK and how we ended up with Hawaiian pizzas. I mean, who puts pineapple on a pizza? And running is the same. When you are starting out, it is often difficult to sort through all the advice that you are getting. But what is important is that there are more than one way to get to where you need to be. But if you are taking advice from a whole lot of different sources and trying to scramble them together, you are going to end up with a Hawaiian pizza with pineapple on it in the UK instead of eating a delicious pizza in Italy with just the right amount of toppings. And don't forget, if you're gonna listen to too many people, you're gonna run like a pineapple.
So I have a number of athletes and runners who I coach, and they often scroll through social media, whether it's Instagram nowadays or Strava, but both are equally the same. And they will scroll through these social media sites, either with elite runners or their friends, and they will look at their workouts or indeed their race times. But often it's with the workouts, and they see what they're doing and they think, oh, I want to be doing that. And I get this a lot. Nikki, I think I should do this workout. I think I should do this particular training. I think I should run this particular mileage because my friends run this. And this is a big thing in running, comparing yourself to other people, but yet you don't know what that person has done, how much training they've done previously, what sort of context that is in their training plan, where they are in their training plan cycle, and indeed where they're aiming at and when is their race coming up. So comparing yourself to other people on social media just isn't a great thing and will not do you any favours. You need to focus on your structured plan and where you are now, what your fitness level is now, and where you are aiming for in the future. And just be aware that if you are comparing yourself to other people, you need to be talking to these other people and finding out what it is that they've done. Because one workout isn't going to make you that faster runner. It's going to be building those workouts each week on week. It's about having that structured training cycle. Just how Italy has the best tasting pizza with the least toppings, and just how there are pineapple pizza loving people out there who don't want to hear that pineapple on a pizza is terrible, there is also the hard truth runners don't want to hear. Watch this video to find out what it is, especially if you want to run faster or longer.